Welcome to the Grindset.
Now today we're going to be following the money and focusing on the one thing that all hustlers truly care about, the end game. Pokemon cards have never been bigger and everybody wants into the market. Part of this might be because the app came out for the phone and people have been introduced to it in that way and now want to get involved in real life, but whatever the reason, you'd be a fool not to get in right now. The Pokemon brand has never been bigger, with more animes, video games, and releases happening all around us. Not only is it feeding the players who have been interested in for years, but it's also introducing new people and bringing them in. Now, obviously this is made for children, and children are always going to love it, but sometimes you'll hear the critique that scalpers are ruining the game for the children. Let me give you some news. These children are some of the most ruthless hustlers I've seen on convention floors. The weird thing about it is Pokemon is experiencing this wave of crypto bros using their money to chase their nostalgia, and they're running into kids who were brought up on the Wall Street bets for them, and they're thinking everything's going to go to the moon. Now, some things are cyclical, and maybe the bubble is about to burst with Pokemon cards too, but nobody can really tell. I'm going to break down the different collectibles and talk about the different items that exist within this market. Everything from raw cards to slabs to ETBs. We're going to go through all of it, figure out why some of it's worth more than others, and figure out the best way to grind. Let's start with the cards themselves. Probably not these. These are all bulk. Bulk is anything you pull out of a booster that is not holographic or rare in any way. There's a lot of bulk, and a lot of people have been finding really creative ways to get rid of it. Now, if you pull something rare, anything holographic, and you sleeve it up, that's still considered a raw card because it hasn't been graded. We'll get into grading in a second. But for all intents and purposes, cards are the most valuable thing to chase in this game. There's cards right now that are going from anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 if it's a certified PSA 10. And pretty much the rule is if it's cute or if it's an EV, it's going to be worth some money. Now, back in my day, there was only two types of cards. There's a normal card or there's a holographic card. Nowadays, there's so many different variations that there's something to collect for everybody. For example, there's something called a reverse holo, where everything is holo except the matte picture, and then there's a little pattern on the word area. And then within that, there's the Pokeball and Master Ball reverse holo that have one of those patterns on the back instead of the typical reverse holo pattern. There's also special illustrations that take up the entire of the card. Those are pretty cool looking, just from a standpoint of artistic expression. Not to mention that they got some weird ones too. Now, like I said, everything is kind of determined in value before it even hits the market. If it's cute or something like that, there are some exceptions where something was not valuable upon being released and then grew more valuable with time. The ones that I can think of are the Bubble Mew, the special illustration Magikarp, and the Latios and Latias making the little heart. Similarly, the idea of a reverse holograph was not really popular before. It's something that only became popular over time. So some of the original reverse holographs, like the Moltres, that I can think of, were kind of overlooked. So like I said, just because you pull it out of the pack and you put it right in a booster does not mean that it's a perfect card. It has to get graded for that to be the case. And it gets graded at more or less, there's one shop in town, and that's PSA. PSA, you send them the card, they send you back a nice case with a grading. There's a barcode on it. That means you can certify whether or not it's actually is not a fake card. And they look at all these different types of things like the edges, the corners, the back of the card. It's kind of a crapshoot. Now, PSA owns about 70% of the market for grading. There's also CGC, which owns 20%, BGS, which owns 10%, and CGC and TAG are also in the market, but they're more or less bit players. Now, I know I just said that the PSA 10 is the most valuable card of it all, but there is actually a Beckett Black Label, which is 3 to 8 times the value of a PSA 10. I'm not sure how they come up with it. I'll probably figure it out in a later video, but just know that as far as value goes, I guess the most valuable thing you can have is a valuable Pokemon card that is graded by the most valuable grader available. We're in this for the grind, remember? There's also some other cool things I've seen in terms of influencing the value of a card. For example, people will go to card shows and get a card that's PSA 10 graded. They'll get the case autographed by the illustrator of the card. There's a lot of things that you can do that make a thing really priceless, but the Pokemon community has figured out every single which way to tap that collector's itch. So after a PSA 10, the next most valuable thing you could have is just a raw, ungraded card. Because believe it or not, if it's not PSA 10, anything lower, 9, 8, 7, you may as well just have a raw card on your hand. Next up on the list when we're looking at valuable things to grind for on this adventure are going to be sealed items, specifically sealed booster packs. Think of a booster pack like a lottery ticket. You know how valuable each and every single card in that collection could possibly be. There's some great resources online like TGC Player that let you look it up, or you can go on eBay and just search the last sold version of the card. Me personally, I recommend a guy named TCG Science on Instagram because not only does he tell you how much a card is worth, he tells you how the value has fluctuated in the last few weeks. My point is that some booster sets are more valuable than others and the price reflects that. Evolving Skies, for example, right now is very expensive because the Eevee illustrations in it have been priced by the market to be very valuable. So if you can get your hands on a booster pack and it's not an exorbitant amount, it's a pretty good investment. That's kind of what I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to be ripping those things on my YouTube. Check out my shorts to see my success rate. After that, there are some sets that come out with promo cards or special collector's items that might end up being worth something, but after booster set, everything's kind of like a hodgepodge where it's all worth the same. Whether it's like a binder box or adventure chest or whatever kind of new thing they release that also includes booster packs, really the booster packs are what's going to be the more valuable thing in that. Now the next big fish is the ETB. ETB stands for Elite Trainer Box. Here's one from the Prismatic Evolutions. Now not only do you get 8 booster packs in this bad boy, you also get some special promo cards, and if you get one from the Pokémon Center, which is like this very exclusive website that it's very hard to buy anything from, you get another special card that's worth immediately out of the box more than the set itself. So not every ETB is guaranteed to go up in value, but if you can see one at a store, definitely what I'm going to be doing is checking eBay, checking, really just eBay to see what it's sold for. If the price is what I like, I'm going to grab it. So even though ETBs are a huge collector's item, they are priced accordingly, especially if the place you're getting them from is not selling them MSRP, which, the game is the game. You can't fault someone. Just, plan your budget accordingly. Scalpers are a part of the game. The free market has dictated the way that these cards work, and the game is the game. It's all about how you play it. Personally, I think the real money is in pulling cards, because if you land that prize big fish, that's big money right there, especially if you get it graded, but even if you don't. My goal is to find a plug from Japan, because Japanese cards are not only just cooler looking and better designed, the stock is a little bit better and it's easier to get them graded as a perfect 10 from PSA. So my side quest here is going to be to find a supplier for Japanese booster packs. Also, apparently with Japanese packs, there's a bigger element of chance because you only get 5 cards and they could all be bad. Unlike where the West, you get 1 guaranteed holograph every time, at least. So that's my plan here. I'm going to be ripping cards. You can see me do that on my channel. Anything rare that I get is going to go into this binder, and then we're going to see what we can trade up from it at card shows to eventually go for some sort of grail card. I'm not sure what my grail is going to be yet, but it's going to have to be good. Now, I've pulled about 10 packs so far, and I'm going to be honest, my results have not been great, but that's not what the grind is about. I'm going to drive around Ontario, go into random stores, make some friends, have some adventures, find some forgotten packs, and hopefully some treasures. Remember, life is like a booster pack. You never know what you're going to pull, but if you grind long enough, you might get something rare. This is Gary Grindset. Like and subscribe.